The Secret Life of Plants. A fascinating account of the physical, emotional, and spiritual relationship between plants and man by Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird.
And you haven't heard nothing yet. Wait till you hear about the guy who trained his plant to open his garage door.
Trained a plant to open his garage door. You guys are going to love this. This is such a cool book. And this is, I think that every vegan should read this book.
Everybody should read it.
Everybody should read this book. But every vegan should read this book because plants they're alive. I mean, it's incredible. This book is really incredible. So the book is called The Secret Life of Plants. It explores plants' response to human care and nurturing, their abilities to communicate with man, plants' surprising reaction to music, plants' lie detecting ability, their creative powers. Tompkins and Bird wrote this classic book that affirms the depths of humanity's relationship with nature and adds special urgency to the cause of protecting the environment that nourishes us. Such a cool book. If you haven't had a chance to read it, and if you've had a chance to read it, talk on the live stream, talk back to you. We got a couple other social media and cameras going. But when did you first get your copy of The Secret Life of Plants?
I think it was in the early 1980s, I think. It was sometime in the 1980s. And I have always been kind of an edgy scientist anyway, I guess. That's why I come up with the weird and wonderful supplement formulas that I've done over the years, because I push my own envelope, and all I have to do is think about, well, that's not possible, and then in a year it's done, because it is possible. And this book really opened my eyes. I had no problem with it, and when it came out, so many people called it fantasy, unrealistic, but the book documents scientific case studies. This is not just somebody's opinion. They use the active part of a lie detector.
Yeah.
And when they hooked those electrodes up to these plants and did various things to them and around them, physically, mentally, the plants reacted. And while we still don't know exactly what those reactions mean, the fact that they react to human interaction is incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And I found that to be just overwhelming.
I mean, it's kind of like the relationship that humans have with dogs. It's so easily seen. And the benefits are so clear. For example, the simple ones like the oxytocin when you pet the dog. But no one ever thinks of that with plants.
Yeah, you can go out and pet your plants. Believe me, they respond.
Yeah.
We know they do.
And I think The Secret Life of Plants is kind of one of those hidden gems for everyone to read.
Oh, yeah. And keep in mind, everybody, that all life on this planet starts with plants.
Yeah.
Completely. Even if you're a vegan. And even if you're not.
Yeah.
So you like a good steak. Well, what was the cattle raised on?
Yeah.
And so, grains and plants are the foundation of all living things. And we should get to know them.
Well, let's get to the part of the story about the guy teaching a plant how to open a garage door.
I know, that seems so silly, but what he did, and it took a long time, it took months and months of developing a relationship with this philodendron. But he would get within, he'd go out in his car, and he'd get within maybe 100 feet of his house, and he would picture the plant and himself in the car approaching. And when he got within about 50 feet of the garage, the door opened. And it took him months and months to build this relationship. But we often think that, well, we can train animals to do these various things.
Yeah.
Right? You can train your dog, you can train your cat. But, before this, nobody thought you could train a plant. But you can. Because once the plant gets familiar with your brainwaves and you send this plant this energy, it picks it up on a machine very similar to a lie detector, and when it gets strong enough as you get closer, it sends a signal to the garage door opener, and just like pushing the button, and open it comes. But that isn't the only thing. I mean, that was probably the piece de resistance, but there's so many other experiments accounted for in that book about how your attitude can affect plants. If you're hostile to them for prolonged periods of time, they'll weaken and die. If you care for them when you water them and fertilize them and talk to them, and when I say talk to them, I'm not meaning in our language. Plants have their own language.
Yeah.
You talk to them mentally, and they respond. We know they respond because of the lie detector ability. For example, if you're pruning a plant and you're taking the dead leaves off, plant likes that.
Yeah.
But if you approach a plant with hostility and a machete or a knife and start hacking at it, it gives you that lie detector needle goes absolutely mad.
Wow.
Because the plant is detecting danger.
So you're kind of leading to the point about plants protecting themselves by developing thorns, thick bark, bitter taste, unpleasant secretions. Is that kind of proof of their intelligence?
That is the tip of the iceberg of their intelligence, but yes. I don't know if any of you have ever had a vine like growing on a fence, but if you move the vine and you move the fence, the plant moves. The plant sends out feelers to attach itself to the fence, to the wall.
Yeah.
And if you move that and change that environment, the plant rapidly changes its direction.
Yeah.
It knows exactly how to survive. And it knows how to do what its job intended depending on the species of plant.
Yeah. And so I think we're probably going to do another video soon about some specific studies from the secret life of plants. So if you're new here, please like, subscribe, comment. We're going to talk about some studies from the secret life of plants along with we're going to light the light bulb with the minerals, which are plant-based minerals.
That's right.
Which I think will be very interesting. And so learning to communicate with plants, that's not just watering them and nurturing them. That's also communicating with them.
That's right. Caring for them, approaching them with love instead of hostility. And it makes a world of difference. We now know that this is the case. And funny enough, this whole book and this whole research kind of went to sleep for a few decades. And people either thought it was interesting or people thought it was nonsense.
Yeah.
But now you can go on various social medias and YouTube and so forth, and you can start seeing a resurgence of people talking about and interested in what plants can do.
Yeah. That's just fascinating. So if you guys want to know about it, anybody new here that just showed up, we're discussing the book called The Secret Life of Plants from Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird. We definitely suggest you get it. It's an amazing book. We don't know them or anything, but we just think it's a really cool book.
I don't know anything about them other than I read the book.
Yeah.
But I did a quick check. That book is still in print. It is. You don't have to look in used bookstores. That book has been in print probably for 40 or more years.
It's still on Amazon too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can go on and order it either in hardback or paperback.
So next up, weight loss plateauing according to science. You might have seen the article on CNN and a couple other news places picked up the article about weight loss plateaus. And
it's about time, because plateaus are the nemesis of everyone. And wait till you hear about how my program insists on cheating, not punishes you.
So with your program insisting on cheat days, which is kind of weird to people, or maybe you might get excited about it, especially if you're thinking about dieting, but weight loss plateaus can really be frustrating for the people who are carb intolerant and even calorie sensitive.
Oh, sure.
And so anyone who's ever dieted, they know the fear of the weight loss plateau. The new study on CNN shows that the appetite increases the closer you get to your ideal weight. How does that happen?
Well, the study was really good as far as it went. I didn't go very far.
Yeah.
And perhaps it wasn't intended to go any farther. But what the study established is that the more weight you lose, the greater the risk of plateauing. And they determined that the reason for that was that the closer you got to your ideal weight, your body would increase its appetite. And that increase in appetite usually caused people to plateau because they couldn't maintain the carbohydrate or calorie or combination dietary intake that they had been doing previously, because the appetite is ramped up to the point where they just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And
that's not associated with blood sugar, is it?
Sometimes. Not always. Sometimes.
Because then you're talking about the hangry aspect of it.
Yeah, well, then you're talking about insulin
Spike.
resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is about this is we knew 25 years ago or longer that this happened. But we also know why. And this study didn't talk about why it happens. It just says, well, it does.
Yeah.
But the reason why it happens is because of a group of hormones that you have called starvation hormones. And they kick in when the body thinks it's starving to death. So the more weight you lose, the body thinks it's in a famine. It's in a crisis. Look at your ancestors. They had times of abundant food and times of great scarcity. And the body had to learn to adapt. Well, we still have those tendencies. We still have those powerful hormones. But junk food restaurants are open 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So our circumstance, our environment has changed, but our genetics and our hormone activity has not. And because of that, you have people with access to high calorie, high carbohydrate, highly concentrated foods at the drop of a hat. And the temptation, especially for refined carbohydrates, is enormous. I have often said that carbohydrate addiction is no different than addiction to heroin,
drugs,
cocaine, or other types of drugs. It is just as intense and just as overwhelming.
So what's the best way to overcome a dieting plateau?
Well, we have several ways that we've developed. And one of them, which is rather humorous, is that is cheating.
A cheat day.
A cheat day or a cheat meal. And
kind of restart your metabolism.
Well, yeah, but the cheat meal serves not only physiological benefit, it services psychological benefit. If you know that you can have one meal a week, and you can have anything you want at that meal in any amount you choose, and you're never more than 7 days away from this self-abuse, well, you just feel a whole lot better mentally. Because you're not looking at, oh, I've got 6 more months of this. No, I've got 6.5 days or 4 days. And the reason why this works physically, because it resets the hormones in your body. And if you're starting to build and produce starvation hormones, that one meal will turn it right off.
Yeah. So where can people learn more about that these helpful methods for preventing plateauing in your book.
In my book, a couple of years ago, I decided to put all this stuff that was in my head on a piece of paper. And that book is available as an ebook on Amazon. It's called The Weight Management Revolution.
Weight Management Revolution.
And by me, Dr. Whiting. And you can go on Amazon and type that in. And because it's an ebook, it's a couple of bucks. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, as of last week, it's free.
Huh.
So everything I've ever learned, trial and error and refinement and changes, are all in there. There are self-tests in there to help determine the best weight management program for your body type. There are hundreds of recipes if you're following calorie counting, or you're following carbohydrate counting, or you're on a diabetes program, or an insulin resistance / hypoglycemia program. It's all covered in there. And it explains not only what to do, but how and why it's important.
And keep in mind, in that book, it has the test to find out what body type you are for what type of diet you should be on. Basically, this whole live stream, please subscribe, like, comment. The whole live stream we did so far was about the book called The Secret Life of Plants and Weight Loss Plateauing. And in your book, The Weight Management Revolution, on Amazon, the ebook, Prime members, it's free. It gives you the test to find out if you're carbohydrate intolerant or calorie sensitive.
Yeah, or a combination of both.
Or a combination of both. And once you know that, that's going to really give you the tools to make the right decisions and eat the right foods and to be successful long-term for your weight loss.
The number one reason why people fail at weight loss is because they're on the wrong bloody program for their chemistry. The number two reason why people fail at weight loss is psychological.
Yeah.
And we cover both of those in depth and detail in the book.